Hi, everybody. It's occurring to me that people have been asking me, and I've been seeing some videos about how people started on Brightline. So I thought I would tell my story. And instead of saying, this is how you should start, I just want to sort of give a testimonial on my journey and, take what you wish from it. So I Just to give a little background first, I have been overweight most of my life since I was about 20, and I stopped playing soccer basically 2 hours a day. Once I got into college, I started gaining weight, and I've been probably at the obese level, which is not easy to say, but for definitely over 20 years. I'm 48, and my weight just kept rising. And I was never able to take it off. I mean, I was able to take 10 pounds off. Once I did 20 pounds. And that was 6 years ago when I started in OA, Overeaters Anonymous. And then I gained it back and 5 pounds more. So when I heard about Brightline, it was a friend of mine in OA who had shared with me, that she was starting this, that a friend had turned her onto it. And everything she was saying about it, the science of food addiction and the weighing and measuring, which I knew people in OA have done, and gotten success on it. It was all like, yeah, I probably really need to look into this. But at the time, it was in the early part of this year. It was around, I think, February, March. And I was in the middle of a training program for myself. It was a yoga training program and social emotional learning for educators called Breathe for Change, which is amazing. It was an amazing program. But I was in the middle of that. It was a very intense 200-hour training over 4 months. And I knew that I had no bandwidth physically, mentally, or emotionally to start Brightline. So I kind of gave myself a commitment that I would start the book when my program ended. My program ended in May, and as a teacher, my teaching year ended in June. And I said, okay, in June, I was like, June is the month I'm just going to read the book. And I got the audiobook because I love to listen to books on my drive to work. And I thought, well, I can still listen while I'm not working. And the first part, I love in the first part of the book where Susan says, if you want, or she's like, if you're trying to skip to the second part about the food plan, don't. And then when she starts the second one, she's like, if you haven't read the first part, go back. And I think that was like really, it's really smart of her because now when people ask me about it and they're like mildly interested, I tell them, you know what? Just read part 1 of the book, and I recommend listening to it on, Audible. And that's all. Just do that. And that's all you need to do. And if you're more interested, go into videos and whatever. So that's what I did. And I fell in love with her. I fell in love with the whole, all of the ideas. It really fed me, the science behind the addiction and what happens in our bodies. And I got more and more interested in it. And I committed I started the book in June, and I didn't finish till right before I started. And I started August 3rd. So I spent the summer sort of, listening to the book and then getting mentally and emotionally prepared, because having already given up sugar on Overeaters Anonymous, I shouldn't say I'd given up sugar. I said my plan was that I had no desserts. But having done that, I knew that it was possible to do this. Although I was holding on to my flour like this and not wanting to let go of it. But I also knew that when I gave up desserts, that it was life. It was a lifelong give up. And I remember the day before I gave up my desserts when I was in OA, I went and got a donut. It was like the last hurrah. It was like a fresh, hot, hopefully this isn't triggering for you, but, the best kinds of donuts, we'll say. And so I had about a month of that not exactly that extreme eating, but that kind of like mourning the loss of the food I will no longer be eating. And like I said, I don't necessarily recommend this. I was keeping though my Overeaters Anonymous abstinence, so I wasn't eating desserts, but I was having, the last best pizza and the last best French fry and the last best etc. And it and sort of like saying goodbye. I was saying goodbye to them, and talking to myself about like I for the most part haven't eaten desserts in 6 years. And I've been okay. It's, I've had enough dessert. I also try to say this to myself a lot. I've had enough really good pizza and really good chocolate and really good everything to last 3 lifetimes. 3, not just this one, 3. Because I'm a foodie and I love to eat and I love really rich and interesting foods from different places. And, when I think of Europe, I just immediately go to, that's like food haven, right? So I had about a month of that, 3 weeks to a month when I was finishing the book. And then like the week before I started, I was like, okay, I need to kind of have a soft start and kind of start what this is going to look like. And I did. And it was great because it kind of got me prepped, instead of going from 0 to 60, I went from like, 30 to 60 or whatever. And I even lost a pound that week before Brightline. So now I've lost, I think, 11 pounds and I'm 1 month in. And, which is a miracle. And the other thing that I did, which was really helpful for me, and no one necessarily recommends this or says that you need to do this by any stretch, but I was really worried about like, well, what am I going to eat? And I didn't want to stress about it every day for the next day. So I made a week plan ahead. I planned a whole week out ahead, including like, I made it in a a Google Doc, like a table, and had a column at the end for the things I was going to need to buy at the grocery store. And that kind of helped, but I still had to go grocery shopping like 3 times that week and most weeks, but working on that. But what was great about this little document, and I can already hear people saying, well, share that. I want to share it when I feel like it's a little neater, so I possibly will do that. But anyway, what I loved about it is it's like in my phone on my Google Drive. And I then, after the first week, I had a week full of, food for my 3 meals. I now refer to it and use it to plan every day. So I have like now 3 or 4 weeks. And what I did was I would go in and change what I ate to, if I made a change, I would actually update my thing so it would be what I actually ate. And of course I tried not to make changes because that's going against the idea of like committing your food and eating what. But every once in a while there would be some changes. And that's still kind of happening. So that I felt helped me to start with kind of like a blueprint for what I was going to be eating for the week. And then I realized, well, it's great to have it for the week, and then the night before, when I commit my food for that day, I can change it then. Like, oh, the zucchini went bad, I don't want to have zoodles, I'm going to have, this instead. And that really helped. I also joined the Facebook groups before Brightline came out with an official Facebook page. This month there were so many Brightline groups. One had like over 10,000 members, and one had about 4. And I think it's Happy, Bright, and Free, or We Eat with Brightlines. I'm not sure. I'll have to put the link in the video below. And the other one is Recipes. And both of those were my favorites. And in fact, I did start the boot camp. I'm still in the middle of the boot camp. And I got a little overwhelmed by the boot camp because I started school around the same time. So I haven't listened to all the videos. I'm glad that I get to listen to them whenever I want and that they don't go away. But I think in the future maybe I'll do a boot camp reflection. But for now, I think the Facebook community that I actually got in the boot camp is everyone's starting boot camp, and most people are new. Whereas these other Facebook groups that people have created themselves have been around for a long time, and the people that are in them have done Brightline for years. And I just got so much support from everybody, or I'm still getting so much support from everyone. And now I've joined the Brightline official Facebook group. And then, of course, I still have my friend who's in OA with me, and we connect on Marco Polo, and we talk about Brightline, which is nice. So that's how I started. And I'm so grateful, and I hope some of this was helpful if you're thinking about starting it. I guess if I had to give a suggestion about starting it, I really, like I say to my friends, and I usually send them a link to the Audible audiobook, is just read the book, just part 1 of the book. That's all. And if that's not inspiring or convincing to you to start Brightline, then Brightline's not for you. But for most, I think for people who are in my situation, where food has been an out of control, unmanageable addiction, it's a success plan. It's a success plan to lose this weight, to keep it off, and to have a supportive community to help you do it. Period. So, see you around the bright lines.